Hey guys, welcome to JT's Vending Services LLC's YouTube channel. I apologize if my voice is weird. I have script throat or something. I don't know what it is, but my daughter had it, and of course, it's running its course through our house, so everybody will eventually be sick. But with that being said, pardon a voice if it goes in and out. I got my little Gus's chicken cup right here. Um, so I'm just in my little juice in here. I just took some Dayquil. I'm trying to help with my throat. So today, this video, and I'll try to keep it as short as possible, but be informative. And I'll have to break it up into multiple parts. It'll more than likely end up being multiple videos on this one topic because it's such a broad topic. So if you've seen the thumbnail, you more than likely assumes from the thumbnail that this is going to be a negative video. And to some people, they might think it's negative. Some people might understand what I'm saying. I don't expect everyone to agree with me. Excuse me. I don't expect everyone to understand this topic as I see it today. But what I am trying to relay is how the world really works. So let's jump into the topic. So the first thing we're going to get into is a lot of people seem to think that there's a certain process going around that's logical to today's time. And if you never heard this phrase, I suggest you do some research. But I'll give you the factual things about it now. So the phrase is um, a zero sum game. Now it's used in like game term or whoa, um, like chess games, chess matches, but I'm going off the financial use of the word. All right, so like I was saying, guys. So the the phrase is a zero sum game, and it's coming from my financial point of view. Um, and I'll give you the financial version of the simple term, and it says in game theory and economic theory, the term zero sum game describes the financial gains of one party that causes any equal amount of losses for the other party. The net change in wealth, the net change in wealth in these situations is zero, meaning the loss of one party is beneficial to the other party. Um, and it's just to put in a simpler term, a situation in which one person or group wins or can win something only by causing another person or group to lose. Charlie, come out of there. Come on, baby. Sorry, that's my. You already know who that is. Um, so it's essentially saying if if I'm winning, then you're losing. If I'm building my financial um, stability for my family, then your family is losing money because I'm building. Or in a even simpler term than that, when it comes down to groups, especially here in the South, is if white people are winning, then black people are losing. That's how a lot be. That's how about 71% of people here in the United States um, and maybe a higher percentage than that here in Memphis thinks. And a lot of times it comes from the poorest people with that mindset. Now, with this video, I know I'm going to lose a lot of subscribers, which is fine, due to them not understanding where I'm coming from or how I explain my point of view and how I grew up. So that zero sum game is a lie. I socialize with people of different race, different creeds, different colors, different backgrounds. I associate with anyone that has my values. I can communicate with almost anyone, but his has not always been that easy for me. So this video here is just an introduction of what I'm talking about today, the zero sum game, how I seen it when I was in my youth and when I had a poverty mindset, and then how I am today with a growth mindset. So let's start from the beginning. So you all know how I grew up. Um, grew up government housing. We grew up poor. Um, we we didn't have much as far as material things, but my mom, my grandma, my dad, like they did give us love and more. And thinking about it now, as I'm doing this video, more love than a lot of children actually get today. And we didn't have a lot of material things, but we had family, we had each other, we had closeness, we had that camaraderie between families and cousins, and we just had fun together. And those are like my most vivid memories of going to my grandma's house and seeing is my cousin them there, so we can have fun and we can do stuff. And we grew up with closeness, but we were poor financially. We didn't have anything, land, we didn't own anything. So as I as I grew up, in sort of kind of a from my mom's side, I would say a close community, because the only time we seen like white people is when we were going to the food stamp office or some kind of official for something. That's when we saw. But on the other end, with my father, when me and my brother went to live with my father, we saw everybody. We saw anybody at any time. Guy stayed 2, 3 houses down. We called him. His name was Jake. We called him White Boy Jake. He was a best friend of ours uh, for most of our youth. We stayed down. We always was at his house, and his grandparents looked after him, and they were like I remember them saying weird things, and at the time as a kid, you don't register none of that stuff because you don't know. But they were kind. They were always kind to us, and they were just good people. Um, and that was my experience from my father's side, where he worked for the city of Memphis, and we got to see professionals of all races and nationalities and creeds, and we got to be around their children who were Asian American, white American, black, and Jewish, and we just got around a bunch of people from my father's side when we went to live with him. But that that played a big part in me, because I'm thinking about it now. When I would go back to my mom's house, you see number of black people, like just number of black people, and I know that I have young children, young kids watching this YouTube channel. So instead of me saying my traditional negative terminology to describe a certain group of people, I'll just call them. I'll just say black subculture. So a lot of times I was always around, and including myself, I was a part of the black subculture. So don't get that twisted. I am who I am today. You see me now, but you didn't see me 20 years ago. I was I was something else 20 years ago. So, but I was always around black subculture, people that you know fed into that black subculture, and I was one of them because birds of a feather flock together. So that was my upbringing for man until I was like 16 or 17. I was back and forth. At 12, we went to live with my father. When I was 12, me and my brother sent to live with my father. But before that, it was just all black people. We didn't really see anybody else. And then, so you can imagine, going to live with my father. He had structure. He had, we had our own room. We had rules to follow. We had discipline. We had all these things that we weren't used to because my mom and dad had separated. So as I was growing up, bouncing back and forth from the black subculture to how the world really works to reality to I guess the normalities of life, reality where there's mixtures of people everywhere. I began to see a difference, and I thought that difference was because I felt inferior to white people, and I thought that difference was white people were superior because they were white and they were better. And then I used to think, you know, white people are keeping us down as black people. And I used to think that there was a zero sum game. If white wealthy people are winning, then I'm losing because I'm black and they want me to lose. I used to think that I couldn't get ahead because of racism and bigotry and because white pe- the white the white man wouldn't let me get ahead. I used to think that. And as an adult, father, husband, man of God, it's not. I'm telling you, firsthand, it's not like that. I had the wrong mindset because I believe what I saw in the media and the news and all of the movies. They would, if you look at movies, like especially back in the 80s and 90s, um, Trading Places, a lot of those movies show wealthy white men being criminals by taking some from a community of people. And yes, this stuff happened. I'm not negating the fact that it happened. But if you indoctrinate a child to see race and only race, it hurts their future. It stunts their growth mentally and it stunts their growth within society to where they can become prosperous and successful. Um, because that mindset that I had, that poverty mindset, did not allow me to take responsibility for my actions. It always prompted me to blame it on someone else. And I can tell you today, it's not that way. I like to explain, like I'm a believer, a follower, in what Thomas Sowell teaches and talks about. He's written about 45 books on top of like new releases and new editions. But I've read almost every book he has, including the recent one last year. Um, was it Fact and Fallacies? Hey guys, sorry to interrupt you watching this outstanding video, but I would like to ask right now that if you have the heart and if you have the resources, that you donate to our ACER program, which is a step into reality, which is a program to where we go in these low income areas and we teach young girls and boys how to manage money, how to set a budget, how to earn money, and what they do with the money when they get it. So our whole process is trying to make sure that the young men and women build good money habits as they grow instead of learning how to manage money through the world and it end up going broke trying to look fake rich. So if you have the heart, if God puts it on your heart, please go to our website, which is right here. And at the very top of our website page, There's a blue button. You can hit that donate button, and it'll take you to the donation link, and you can donate whatever God puts on your heart. So thank you guys so much for watching. And now back to this outstanding video. Yeah, 2023 Social Justice Fallacies. But he also wrote one of my favorite books back in 2005, which is Black Rednecks and White Liberals. Um, I'm not a political person. I'm not someone who dwells on Republican or Democrat. That's irrelevant to me. My family is what matters. So if values on one side or the other lean toward providing for me and my family and the things that I can do to better them, that's where I lean. So I'm not heavy into politics, but I do enjoy reading books about where different authors talk about how the world really works. Hey, sweetheart, can you bring me Mein Kampf off the shelf? So I not only read books that I agree with, I read a lot of stuff that I don't agree with. So Mein Kampf is something that I thank you, something that I don't agree with, but I still read it nevertheless for the insight. So growing up, 20 years ago, I would have never read books that I didn't agree with. I would never hang out or be a part or associate with people I didn't agree with. But Thomas Sowell is one of those people. When I was 20 years old, I would not have agreed with whatever he was saying because it's too factual and it points a finger at me as a person and being responsible for my own actions. Now, today, me leans towards Thomas Sowell. Um, and there are many other people out there other than Thomas Sowell, but he's the one that has been less publicized because go get mama help you, because he speaks the truth. He points out that a lot of things that happen to black people is because of the things that black people are doing to themselves, and not black people in general, but the black subculture is what that's the damaging side of being black. So the media, your social media, if you look at all the stuff that's trending now on social media, it's always something stupid black people are doing, something violent, something stupid. How they opening black banks, black hospitals, or black spelling bees or black intellectuals. They're not pointing out those things. They're only pointing out in the media how black people can dance, how black people can twerk, how black women can shake their butts and flip around, and the things that don't add value to society at all. And I'm not saying dancing is not good. You can dance, but if you have no financial wherewithal to kind of withstand anything in life, you can be the best dancer and be broke. You can be the best singer and be broke. You don't have anything of inheritance to leave your children. I'm trying to find more people that can help me cover the topic of inheritance and realizing that it's not only wealth, it's money, it's influence, and it's family values that close the door, Charlie. So, like I was saying, guys, if you look at all the things that are trending right now on social media, um, a lot of the stuff that's trending, especially for Black people, is not how um, bank owners are, Black bank owners are helping low income families build wealth, opening up a new bank. It's not how there's this, Black all boys school that's growing and teaching young men without fathers or solid family foundations how to live life and teaching them basic educational skills that can help them survive. It's not talking about a guy named Bill Gerson. Gerson, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He's a pastor in a black pastor in I want to say Mississippi. Um, he's 99 years old. Alabama, sorry, Alabama. He's 99 years old. He's a black pastor, um, in a Bethel church in Mississippi, and he fought in World War II. Um, he played baseball during segregation. Um, he came back during desegregation, still played baseball, but he wasn't. He was still ostracized because he was black. Um, and he did baseball for several more years. In like 19, I want to say 40, no, 1971, I think. He became a pastor of a church, and he felt the call of Jesus Christ calling him to preach and teach, and that's what he did. They don't talk about stuff like that. They don't put, and even Thomas Sowell, they don't put people like that in the forefront to help, create, a better sense of self worth, um, in people, not just black people, but black, white, anybody who believes in those values. What the media and the government is pushing for, in my opinion, is for more people to be dependent on them so they can control you. Meaning, you have a lot, you have so many people that are leaning towards more government policies, more government procedures because they're getting government assistance and food stamps, and they're getting government housing. They're getting supplemental nutritional something SNAP. They're getting all these benefits from the government. So of course they're not going to vote the government to decrease in anything, because if the government gets smaller, they get less. So that's kind of how it works. And then you have, like, I call that the black subculture, because the people who depend on that. And that's not just the black subculture, because you have white, Asian, European, you have anybody that live on it. But this video is from my experience of what I've seen with my own two eyes, what I've heard, and what I've lived throughout my life. So a lot of stuff that I've lived through and done, I used to be a part of the black subculture. I I thought rap music was informative, and that's where I got my news from. Rap music. That's how I learned my finances I learned how to budget and learn how to handle money through MTV and rap music. My favorite rapper was Project Pat. Project Pat was a local rapper here in Memphis, Tennessee. Um, he rapped about beating women, shooting people, banging, sorry, not banging, having sex with random women. That's the kind of stuff he rapped about. And I thought growing up that that's what I wanted to do, and that's how I should do it. But I didn't realize that that was a horrible mistake. Um, but like I talk about that black subculture, um, that poverty mindset is what drove me to do it, because the people around me did it. So therefore, you be, a lot of people tend to become a product of their environment. So, with all that being said, I just with this video, I'm trying to cover just some of the introductory stuff um, to these next few videos. These are the things I'm going to be talking about and covering. Um, but growing up, I had no idea that this kind of world existed, and now that I'm now that I'm living it and understanding more and reading more, I'm learning that it's not a zero sum game. It's not if you win then I lose. If I win then you lose. Um, Most of the people around me know that's not how I view the world. That's not how I see my family or my life in general. And when it come down to like my educational part, um, as a kid, I was slow. I was slow. As a kid, I was a slow reader. I was a slow learner. I had a hard time doing a lot of mental things. And I thought that something was wrong with me. So I was like, well, if I can't, you know, exceed in school, well, I'll just have fun. And having fun, came down to laughing at people who were smarter than me, um, making fun of people. What we call down here in the South checking. That checking destroys social skills. It limits the people that can be want to be around you. It limits how your worldview is, and it shows how small-minded you are for just talking about somebody because of how they look. So that was my mindset for a lot of years, and I didn't understand, and no one explained to me how detrimental that was until I think I was like 26 years old, and I started to carry that into into my professional career when I got into corrections, and it didn't play well. I learned the hard way that that's not how you should behave. And then, by me growing up with my father and being around other professionals, I was like, well, what if I act like them, act like the professionals that I seen, black, white, Asian? Like, what if I just act, be polite? What if I read more? And I started to read more. So I started to read books that I didn't agree with, agree with first. And then as my mind grew, I started to read books like Mein Kampf, Mein Kampf, and in English that means My Struggle. Um, and obviously, I shouldn't have to say this, but I'll go ahead and say it. Um, I don't agree with anything Adolf did. Um, the Germans that was a part of the German Socialist Party, the Fascist Party. I don't agree with anything Adolf stood for or did. Um, but some of the same phrases that he uses in this book, as far as like not liking or not dealing with someone, came from his came from, if you read the first 2 or 3 chapters, his childhood. He felt inferior, and that's how I felt growing up. I felt inferior a lot of times because of my lack of education, because of my lack of knowledge. I wasn't smart, and I felt that everybody knew I was smart when they heard me talk. So then I just would get angry, and then it was a downhill slide from there. So this video, like I said, guys, is just me covering a few basic things I want you guys to understand going forward, and to realize what I'm saying about the zero sum game, um, because it doesn't work the way the media and news and the intellectuals say it does. It doesn't work that way. If you are my fellow man and you're struggling and you're losing, then it's hurting not only me but the entire community, the society. So a simple term, a simple way we can put it is, if if I had 5 children by 5 different women and I took care of none of them, those 5 different women with those 5 different kids will have to be wards of the state, will have to be dependent on the state to take care of them. The taxpayers, everybody else paying taxes, has to pay for those 5 kids and those 5 women to be provided for by the state. You see how it works? So everyone who has a job and pays taxes out of their paycheck would have to pay for the 5 women and the 5 children to live um, a life of essentially servitude to the government. So that's how it works. But God calls us as Christians not to. First Timothy chapter 5 verse 8. It says, "Any man that does, but if any man does not provide for those in his house, especially for those, if any man does not provide for his family members, especially those in his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever." That's what it says. I believe what the Bible says. So meaning, don't have your children become wards of the state, and still thinking you're doing the right thing, because you're not. You're not following the principles Jesus put down. You're not providing for your family, and that's how it ends up becoming this whole wards of the state. So I got to cut this video short today, but I promise, guys, I'll pick up later on this week. I try to push myself to get these videos done, and right now I gotta lay down. So just take what you can from this video right here, and I promise you, I'll come back feeling a lot better and well rested, and I'll continue to go into detail about the zero sum game and how, if we believe that, the world you see around us continues to decay. If you believe it's a zero sum game, the crime rate here in Memphis, the murder, all of that stuff increases because it's kind of like every man for themselves, instead of being kind and loving your fellow man as you love yourself, and just being kind to each other. And you don't even have to go out of your way. But if you think it's a zero sum game, so down here in my experience, I see angry blacks and whites. So I see a lot of angry black people that hate white people, mostly men that hate white people because of slavery. And I see white people down here in the South, not all, but most, hate black people because they think all black people are going to call them racist. And then black people think all white people are racist because slavery was mostly white slave owners in the South. But again, all of that misinformation and miscommunication is making people angry for no reason. Because one, we know, if you do some research, get on Google, you'll know that slavery was not just because it was against white or black. Slavery was all over the United States, all over the world, and it was not because of race. It was because of economic control. Whoever was rich or powerful had to control. Same thing in China, same thing in Africa, same thing in Britain, same thing in Europe. If whoever had the power was in control, that's how it was. The only way it became race based is because of the Emancipation Proclamation. The North wanted to eliminate it, and even though the North were making money, but they saw it as it was tearing mankind apart. It was tearing us apart, because that's on a large scale having a zero sum mindset. We need to enslave the blacks and make them look less so that we can prosper. And that was not how the world worked. That's why the emancipation and the Civil War, all that came about, because it was like you had Mormons and you had Jewish people, you had Christians. They were fighting on behalf of, no, we're not finna do our fellow man like that. And then the laws came and they was like, well, they're not really a man. They're a beast. They're a percent, I can't, one third of a, three-fourths of a person. They did everything in their power to try to discredit or like push off the fact that black people were human, so they can feel justified in treating a beast that way. That's why New York Life Insurance used to sell life insurance for cattle, which were slaves, which were black people. They sold life insurance for slaves. And you can go on their website; they apologize for it, but I don't see no need, because there was sorry, that was the way of the time, and things were just rough. So that's just a small glimpse of what we're going to get into on the next video. But right now, I got to go, guys. Have a blessed day. Au revoir. À bientôt. À la prochaine.